This video has been demonetized upon uploading. Please consider a modest donation to help support this channel. Our pay links can be found in our bio.
Do you believe porn addiction is real, or do you think the term is exaggerated, and why?
I think that anyone can get addicted to anything. So I think, sure, porn addiction could exist, but there's a TV show a while back called My Strange Addiction. There's a lady addicted to eating dryer sheets. Addiction can happen anywhere into anything, video games, TV, whatever you describe it as. It just happens to be that porn addiction gets a lot more visibility and a lot more notoriety because people find it already so taboo.
If someone says porn has damaged their relationships, do you see that as a personal problem or a societal problem?
Personal problem for sure, because like you choose to allow that to come in between you and your person. So
If you're watching so much porn that you've isolated yourself from society, of course it's going to damage your relationships because you're not connecting with people enough to be able to see them for who they are and what the reality of intimacy is. Porn makes it easy to exaggerate our fantasies, but it doesn't. I don't think it ever intentionally desires to isolate you. All of those things are your choice.
If porn can be addictive, should it be regulated like alcohol or gambling?
No, I think that's your own personal choice, and I think everyone has to learn how to regulate themselves. You can buy 10 bottles of vodka right now and drink it all if you wanted to.
Why do you think some people say porn helps them while others say it ruins their mental health?
I think, again, that has to do with the balance. I definitely need it after a long day, but am I going to do it for 8 hours straight? No.
I think people can find addiction in a variety of different ways. So, of course, it's healing for some people and harmful for others. It's the way that you treat the media, the way that all media is treated.
Do you think porn affects self-esteem more in men or women, and why?
I think both. I think men see these giant penises and it can make them a little bit nervous and insecure that theirs isn't enough. The same way women will see these beautifully, perfectly shaped breasts and butts and get a little jealous as well.
What is the difference between ejaculating into a woman versus ejaculating into your hand, and why does society see one as more damaging to your brain?
Well, it would just be damaging if you ejaculated into a woman and you got her pregnant. Your hand can't get pregnant. So I think that's why society sees such a difference.
Men that are choosing to jack off like with themselves compared to like with a woman, I mean, strictly within a relationship sense, I feel like it's more so just like you're training your brain to get off onto a specific thing rather than with your person, if that makes sense. If men have been consuming porn for decades, why is it suddenly being framed as making men weak?
It shouldn't be. I think there's just this uprising of, I guess, how do I say, values that are more conservative, and people are trying to control each other when you should just focus on yourself.
Do you think men are shamed more for watching porn or women for creating it?
Women for creating it.
Why then are there conventions to celebrate the creators of porn, but not one that celebrates the masturbators of porn?
Do you know, that's actually a really good question, and there probably should be a convention. I think people would actually go to it if there was.
In other words, if there's so much shame against women, why bother showing yourself in public?
I mean, that's not a question for me because I've got no shame in showing myself, so I can't actually answer that at all.
Because there are people that do support us. There are people that do watch us. There's people that walk up to us and say, oh my gosh, I saw your scene with so-and-so and I loved it. I can't believe you're here. So the fans do come. The fans do want to see you. And actually in the last 2 days, I've seen a lot of couples come through here and I'm clocked that. I'm so for that.
I absolutely celebrate my masturbators. I try and curate a community for myself that my gooners are celebrated. We all love each other. But I absolutely think that people see it as being a simp. People see a person spending their time on a creator who's never going to talk to them because there's a screen involved and say like, oh, you're just simping. She's never going to love you. She's never going to this, that, and the other thing. But, you know, I love all of my gooners.
If porn is called objectifying, does that apply equally to both the viewer and the creator?
It's mainly targeted towards the creator. Objectifying is never towards the viewer. The viewer is a completely anonymous identity, an entity within this industry. When people are producing porn, they're much more objectified.
Like, the only one that's saying that sort of thing about the creators and the people is the ones that don't understand it. If they don't want the sex, then don't watch it. Stupid.
Aren't men being objectified financially?
Yes, I take advantage.
I mean, it takes two to tango. If I'm taking my clothes off and doing my thing, you're the one going and subbing and paying for it, then we're all in this together.
Aren't men being objectified financially?
1,000%. 1,000%. But how do you get a woman's attention without your wallet?
Masculinity.
Masculinity, yeah.
Why do people blame porn for men's unrealistic expectations of women, but rarely blame romance media for women's unrealistic expectations of men?
I would say because with men, it's more of like a physical situation and also in the bedroom, whereas with women, it's more mental. And they also, like, all a woman wants is just for a man to, like, just be more mentally present with her. Whereas, like, a man wants you to be, like, crazy in the bedroom and, like, do all these different things.
I make fantasies. Nobody watches a Jackie Chan movie and says, oh, I can do kung fu now. But they watch porn and they say, oh, I know how to fuck. But we're way closer to Jackie Chan than we are to like a reality show. We are sexual athletes. We're people out here at the top of our game doing things you probably shouldn't try at home. But I hope you watch it and I hope you get off.
Do you think men and women judge each other differently when it comes to porn use?
Yes, absolutely. When women consume porn, it's like this empowering, fun, sex positive thing. Men consume it, it's like, oh, you're a gooner.
Men are labeled addicted much more than women are. When women buy toys and do what they want, it is seen as empowering. When men are consuming porn, it is seen as degenerate.
When women use erotica, sex toys, or sexual media, are they shamed and labeled addicted in the same way that men are?
No, I don't think so. I think that women, I don't know, I guess that it's easier probably for women to talk about using a vibrator than men using a pocket pussy. That's what I've noticed among friends. I have to kind of pry the information out of males when I ask if they have pocket pussies, whereas my girlfriends are like, look at my vibrator.
If we say porn is harmful for shaping unrealistic expectations, should we also hold influencers, filters, and thirst trap culture to the same standard?
100%. 100%. The whole world is a catfish these days.
What influencers are trying to sell you is something real, while it's just as constructed as what I make. And I don't think there's anything wrong with showing something that's constructed, but don't try and market it like it's real.
I mean, Instagram creates an entire generation of teenagers who don't have respect for their bodies or understand the value in who they are.
Why does society normalize explicit content in movies, TV shows, but stigmatizes explicit content online?
I have the same question. I don't understand. I was just watching Heated Rivalry and it was full on almost gay porn with besides the penises. And I don't understand why that's normal, but what I do is bad.
If porn disappeared, do you think the demand for sexual content would actually disappear or just shift to new platforms?
It would definitely shift to new platforms. They would go to the massage parlors, they would go to wherever else they can find it, they would film it themselves. No, it would not be obsolete.
If we genuinely believe that porn addiction harms men, why is society pushing technologies that go even further in replacing real intimacy?
The same reason why we have gambling in casinos. It's a problem, but people are going to still keep capitalizing off of it.
I believe there are two sides of this. I think it's a certain group of people that are pushing on the AI companions, and then there's also other people who don't believe in that and are pushing for the opposite way.
Is the concern really about men's well-being or about which industries profit from male loneliness?
I could see how the argument could be coming from both sides depending on who's arguing it.
If the concern is that porn disconnects men from real relationships, would sex robots and AI partners do that even more?
Yeah, I think so.
Nobody cares about men's well-being. We are all profiting off of male loneliness.
If we say porn objectifies women, what do sex robots do?
Objectifies robots.
I mean, I feel like it's like the same thing because it's like you're modeling it after a woman.
Isn't that just a more expensive physical form of objectification?
100%.
So if AI girlfriends are marketed as companionship, why isn't porn ever framed as helping men feel less alone?
Because porn is media to be mass produced. AI girlfriends are specifically catered to individuals.
I feel like with the AI, like robots and stuff like that, it's like more personalized. Like, you know, you're basically just replacing companionship. Whereas like with porn, it's like you're kind of just getting off on a fantasy.
If porn is a problem, is AI intimacy a solution or just a shinier version of the same issue?
If porn is a problem is a huge question, but if AI intimacy is a solution, no, it's still porn.
For me, it's like if you're a single man and you're just like, you know, doing your thing, or even if you're a relationship and you're doing your thing with porn, that's fine, you know, as long as it doesn't like affect your personal life and your personal relationships. If it's affecting your personal life and your personal relationships, then you need to fix your own shit. Like, there's something wrong with you.
But also, you know, for some people, it's their form of connection. It's their form of emotionally bonding with someone because they might not feel like they have the social skills to adapt in that way.
Do you think people would pursue real relationships more if porn didn't exist, or would they look for substitutes?
I think they'd look for substitutes. Prostitution's the oldest job in the book. I mean, there's always been a demand for more sex than love, especially because we're animals at the end of the day.
If porn was banned, what do you think would happen to OnlyFans, strip clubs, or the broader sex industry? Do you think they would shrink or explode illegally?
They would definitely explode illegally. I already see a huge uptick in OnlyFans members because of, well, at least I'm from Florida and Pornhub is now banned in Florida. You'd have to use a VPN. And so I did notice a little bit of an increase in Florida subscribers.
Do men who have active sex lives rely on porn as much as men who don't?
No, I would say men that have the more active sex lives aren't really using porn as much compared to the people that don't have an active sex life. They're definitely using a lot more porn.
Why do you see that way?
Because at least from the people that I know that have an active sex life, they, you know what I mean, they're constantly getting to ejaculate or do whatever they need versus like someone who may like not be able to pull a woman. They still need to release themselves biologically as a male. So that's why I tend to see them more in porn. I actually do see a lot of married men. That is one thing.
When people can't get something important like intimacy, don't they usually look for substitutes?
Yes. No matter what the substitute is, there's always something that we will crave in order to fulfill that hole.
You know, people who have active sex lives and people who don't, everyone still watches porn. And some people watch more porn than others, but it doesn't change how often they have sex.
If porn is filling in for missing intimacy, should it be treated as the main problem or signs of a deeper issue?
I think we should look at it as signs of a deeper issue rather than treating porn as the main problem.
What has changed in society over the last 20 to 30 years that might push lonely men towards online digital or sexual outlets?
Ooh, this like we could have an hour-long conversation about, but the short answer is social media. It's phones. It's the whole world is in your pocket and yet you're connected to no one.
I've actually had a conversation about this recently, but I think COVID took a hit for a lot of people in terms of kind of smushing that social part of ourselves because we were online constantly for a while. And even I started college during COVID and I had a hard time getting used to talking to people in person again.
I think a lot of these men just aren't as social as they used to be. A lot of that has been created through social media and that type of toxic environment where you don't have to go out and actually socialize with people because you could truly just live your life at home and scroll on your phone. So I think that's why it's been heightened as of lately, these parasocial relationships.
Why do you think men would be more affected by that than women?
In my opinion, men just tend to get hornier, and so it's easier to manipulate a man when he's horny.
You don't say.
Nowadays, as soon as you come of age, you get a phone in your hand, and everyone's using the same social media. Suddenly, the online world becomes more real to them than the physical world, and it just feels much more satisfying to isolate yourself sometimes into a world that makes you feel better, into a constant dopamine high.
If porn use and incel culture grew at the same time, could they both be caused by the same social problems?
I would say so. I don't know a lot about incel culture. I'm not even sure I'm familiar with the definition, but I would say that if you're seeing two things grow consistently with each other, there could be a main common problem.
It's the male loneliness epidemic. Genuinely, they don't know how to talk to people. Again, it's a socializing issue. Their mothers don't teach them how to talk to women. We don't teach them how to talk to women. So of course they will resort to any alternate media.
If young men are becoming more isolated, is it fair to blame only them, or does society share some responsibility?
I think the societal aspects are pushed on by men. It's a system that they kind of created, and then now they're getting the shit end of the stick on.
The social problems is loneliness and bullying. When men are told that they have to be a specific way, the same way that gender roles tell women to be a specific way, then they fully have to adhere to that, and it becomes very destructive.
They created a system that oppresses women, and so women are making the choice to step away from male relationships or straight relationships or men in general, and so now men are getting the shit end of the stick on that.
Society shares responsibility, but these men also lack agency. They have no idea how much movement they can make. As stupid fat nerds, you can pull women as much as you want.
You are what you make yourself. Like, there's people who come from like nothing and then they make something of themselves and they learn how to adapt and they learn how to do everything. Street versus book, if you will. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you can't, everybody's always looking for somebody else to blame rather than just do the work themselves. So it's like, if it's, you know, you're at the end of the day, it's like if you're looking for somebody else to blame, if you're blaming porn for your relationship issues or whatever, it's like you are the problem. Porn should not get in the way of that. Like,
does porn addiction lead to isolation, or does isolation lead to porn addiction?
I think it could go both ways depending on the situation.
Do you go both ways depending on the situation?
Oh yeah.
I think that isolation leads to porn addiction, right? Same with any other addictive material. Studies have shown that people that are exposed to addictive materials that are isolated and don't have good friend groups or support groups end up more likely to be addicted than people that already have those support groups.
If society limits men's access to relationships, but also shames them for how they cope, what outcomes should we expect?
Men feeling very lost, feeling like they're going to get judged for anything and everything they do.
And finally, if porn disappeared tomorrow, but male loneliness stayed the same, would the real problem actually be solved or just hidden?
Hidden. That's my answer.
The real problem would just be hidden. I mean, male loneliness is consistent. It's going to exist whether porn exists or not.